All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
All right. Can y'all hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Judge.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, we're a little late. We had a little technical difficulty as usual. We're going to get good at this one day. All right, Chambers County Probate Court come to order. First on the agenda is 20 CPR 0035, the state of Jolene Reed Oldham. Mr. Baker, good morning.
Yes, sir.
Popeye, Constable, how are you?
Morning.
Good.
How are you?
All right. If you'll raise your right hand, Papa.
Okay.
Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're giving today is true and correct, so help you God?
Do you swear to
You
tell
swear
the
to
truth?
tell the
I do. I
You
do.
put your, yeah.
Can you hear me, Richard?
And you may proceed, Mr. Baker.
Thank you. We're here on an application for probate of will as immuniment of title. It's a self-proving will, and Mr. Odom is going to be my only witness, and you are Cecil Ray Odom, correct?
Yes.
And you were married to Jolene Reedy Oldham, correct?
Yes.
And we're here to probate her will, which, Judge, I'm showing him a copy. How do you do that on this Zoom? Do you show him or
You
I
just show him a copy and let him swear that's his. That's it.
Okay. I'm showing you the will we have submitted. The original is with the clerk, and I'm representing to you, this is a true copy of what we submitted. And it
Okay.
is dated January 22nd of 2007. Is that
Yes.
Jolene's last will?
That's Jolene's last will.
All right. And to your knowledge, she never revoked it, correct?
Correct.
And if she did, it's most likely you would know about it, right?
I would probably know about it.
Okay, because y'all were married, and that marriage ended when she died on November 25th of 2019 in Chambers County, correct?
Yes.
And she was 77 years old.
Yes.
All right, in the will, it names as the only two devisees, Kelly Ross Drake and Cecil R. Oldham, correct?
Right.
And you are the Cecil R. Oldham,
Yes.
Cecil Ray.
Cecil Ray.
All right. And the will leaves Kelly a special gift of $100, and has she received that gift?
Yes, she has.
And then the rest and residue of the property goes to you.
Yes.
All right. Now, is it true that at the time Jolene died, she lived here in Chambers County, Texas?
Yes.
Is it true that after the date of that will, no children were born to or adopted to her?
No.
Born to or
No,
adopted
sir.
by her? Okay. And she owned land here.
Yes.
And let's see, is it also true that Jolene did not apply for or receive Medicaid benefits on or after March 1st of 2005?
True.
Okay. And is it also true that you're aware of the assets, the debts, and things like that? And there's no need for an administration
Yes.
because, yep, there are no debts to pay.
No debts.
Okay. And also, since Kelly's already been paid the $100, you're asking the judge to waive a requirement of an affidavit of distribution. Is that correct?
True.
Okay. Judge, we ask that you admit to probate as immuniment of title of Jolene's will, and I have a proposed order that's been presented to you.
Okay. So done. You got to take care. Richard, we'll see you at 2:30.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Nice seeing you, Judge.
You too. All right, number 100, the state of Daniel Christian Perdue. Mr. Smith, Mr. Dawson, good morning.
Yes. We should leave.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm Laurel Smith. I'm here on behalf of the applicant.
Okay, good morning, Ms. Smith. All right, who's going to testify?
I have the applicant here, Your Honor, Virginia Perdue, as well as two witnesses, Becky Perdue and Allison Cook.
So are they with you?
They are all on the screen, Your Honor.
Okay, if you'll all raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're giving today is true and correct, so help you God?
I do.
I do. Okay, they can hear you. All right, you may proceed, ma'am.
I'm just waiting for my client to unmute her tablet, Your Honor.
Okay.
Okay, how about now?
Yep, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Ms. Perdue, will you please state your full name for the record?
Virginia Joseph Perdue.
Ms. Perdue, you were Daniel Christian Perdue's wife, is that correct?
Yes.
Did Daniel pass away on July 23rd, 2020 in Baytown, Harris County, Texas at the age of 42 years?
Yes.
40 years have not elapsed since Daniel's death, is that correct?
Yes.
And at the time of his death, did Daniel have a fixed place of residence in Chambers County, Texas?
Yes.
And when Daniel passed away, he did not have a will, is that right?
No, he did not.
And is it true that Daniel was married twice?
Yes.
His first marriage was to Vanessa Perdue, which ended in divorce in the year 2000.
Yes.
And his second marriage was to you, correct?
Yes.
And just to confirm again, you were married to Daniel at the time he passed away.
Yes.
Is it true that Daniel had one biological child, Brenna Perdue, and she was the product of your marriage to Daniel?
Yes.
Are you aware of any other children who were born to or adopted by Daniel during his life?
No.
Is there a necessity for the administration of Daniel's estate?
Yes.
And are you asking the court to appoint you as independent administrator of Daniel's estate without bond today?
Yes.
Ms. Perdue, are you in any way disqualified from serving as independent administrator of Daniel's estate?
No, I am not.
I pass this witness, Your Honor.
Counselor.
Yes, Virginia Perdue, right?
Yes.
And you go by Becky, is that correct?
No.
Okay, well, okay, and there is, did you make a search for the will?
Yes.
And there was none, is that correct?
That is correct.
And you're a resident of Barbers Hill, that is Mont Bellevue, Chambers County, Texas, is that correct?
Yes.
And you're seeking to be appointed independent administrator, is that right?
Yes.
And you think it's in the best interest of not only the estate, but your child, Brina, is that correct?
It's Brenna, and yes, correct.
Brenna. And you have no conflict of interest with regard to Brenna as it relates to any part she might inherit in the estate, is that correct?
That is correct.
I don't have any further questions. I would add that, well, let me ask you this. Your husband, he was a veteran, was he not?
Yes, he was, sir.
And he served honorably in Bosnia, is that correct?
That is correct. And Persian Gulf, both.
Okay. Well, we thank him for his service, ma'am. And we
Certainly
regret your
do.
loss.
Thank you.
I pass the witness.
Okay, Counselor,
I'd like to call Becky Perdue at this time, Your Honor.
you may proceed.
Becky Perdue, if you will please please state your name for the record.
Becky Renee Perdue.
And what was the nature of your relationship with Daniel?
I'm a stepmom.
So it's safe to say you're acquainted with his family history?
Yes,
And how long did you know Daniel approximately?
38 years.
And did Daniel pass away on July 23rd, 2020 in Baytown, Harris County, Texas at the age of 42?
Yes,
And at the time of his death, did Daniel have a fixed place of residence in Chambers County, Texas?
yes.
To the best of your knowledge, Daniel did not have a will, is that correct?
No, he did not, as far as I know.
And is it true that Daniel was married twice?
Yes,
Is it true that his first marriage was to Vanessa Perdue?
yes,
And that marriage ended in divorce in the year 2000?
yes,
Is it true that Daniel's second marriage was to Virginia Perdue?
yes,
And Daniel was married to Virginia at the time of his death?
yes,
Is it true that Daniel had one biological child, Brenna Perdue, that was the product of his marriage to Virginia?
yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, were there any other children who were born to or adopted by Daniel during his life?
No,
Do you have any financial interest in Daniel's estate?
no,
And do you stand to inherit from Daniel's estate?
no.
Thank you, Your Honor. Pass this witness.
Becky Perdue, my name's Dick Dawson. You and I have talked, have we not?
Yes, we have.
And you're married to Daniel's father, is that correct?
That's correct.
And so by and large, you and your husband essentially raised Daniel, is that correct?
Yes, we did.
And he passed away on July 23rd, 2020, is that correct?
Yes,
And you would know about his marriages and his children, is that correct?
yes,
Do you have any financial interest? Do you stand to inherit anything? Do you stand to gain anything by your testimony today?
No, not at all.
And at the time of his death in July 2020, was he married to Virginia J. Perdue?
Yes, sir.
And about how long were they married?
12 years?
And how many children did Daniel have?
Just Brenna, just the one.
And as a stepmom, having raised him and known him for 38 years, you would know if there was any other children. Is that correct?
Yes.
And how do you pronounce his daughter's name?
Brenna.
And where does that child go to school, if you know?
She goes to Barbers Hill,
All right.
Middle
And-
School North.
Okay. And there is no other kids, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you for your testimony, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
All right, your next witness, Ms. Smith.
I'd like to call Allison Cook, please.
You may proceed.
Ms. Cook, will you please state your full name for the record?
Allison Renee Cook.
And what was the nature of your relationship with Daniel Perdue?
He was my brother.
So it's safe to say you're also acquainted with Daniel's family history?
Yes.
And I guess the length of time that you've known Daniel is about the length of your life?
Yes.
How old
28.
are you?
28.
Okay, great. Did Daniel pass away on July 23rd, 2020 in Baytown, Harris County, Texas at the age of 42?
Yes.
At the time of his death, did Daniel have a fixed place of residence in Chambers County?
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, Daniel did not have a will, correct?
That is correct.
And is it true that Daniel was married twice?
Yes.
And his first marriage was to Vanessa Perdue, and that marriage ended in divorce in the year 2000?
Yes.
And is it true that Daniel was married to Virginia Perdue at the time of his death?
Yes.
Are there any other marriages that you're aware of?
No.
And are you aware that Daniel had one biological child, Brenna Perdue, who's the product of his marriage to Virginia?
Yes.
Are you aware of any other children who were born to or adopted by Daniel during his life?
No.
And do you have a financial interest in Daniel's estate?
No.
Do you stand to inherit anything from Daniel's estate?
No.
Pass this witness, Your Honor.
Counsel, you may proceed.
Allison Cook, right?
Yes.
And you and I have talked, have we not?
Yes, we have.
And you have nothing to gain by testifying with respect to the passing of your brother, is that correct?
That is correct.
And where do you live?
I live in Beaumont, Texas.
And have you had occasion over the past several years to have contact with your brother, Daniel?
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Have you had occasion to visit with your brother from time to time over the years?
Yes.
With respect to his marriages and his children?
Yes.
And he has the one child and only one child, is that correct?
That is correct.
And he was married to Virginia J. Perdue for in excess of 10 years, is that correct?
Yes.
So far as you know, there was no other children other than Brenna, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, pass the witness.
Counsel.
No further witnesses at this time, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Dawson, you seen the judgment declaring heirship? Are you good with it?
I've submitted it, yes. I've submitted a request for attorney's fees, and I submitted an order as well as my breakout of the services, and I think council has approved that.
Okay,
Yes, Judge.
and I see you signed off on the judgment declaring heirship, so I'm going to approve the judgment declaring heirship and the independent administration and letters of administration.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Y'all, appreciate it.
May we
Have
be
a good day.
excused?
You may be.
Thank you, sir.
All right, number 108, State of Janice Ann Gunn, Mr. Trevino.
Good morning, Your Honor. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Just fine. I have my
Are you-
client, John Gunn, on the line.
Where's John?
I saw
There's
him.
John, I see him.
Hey, John, how are you?
Unmute yourself, John.
All right.
Please. Raise your right hand, John.
Swear or affirm that the testimony you're giving today is true and correct, so help you God.
You
I
swear?
do.
Okay, you can put your hand down, sir.
Would you state your name for the judge, please?
I guess you can speak up.
John Edward Gunn.
All right. And Mr. Gunn, you are a resident of the state of Arizona, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And are you familiar, how are you related to Janice Gunn,
I am her son.
her son? Okay. And Mrs. Gunn died on September 3rd of this year, correct?
That's correct.
In Houston, Harris County, Texas?
Yes.
Okay, and she was a resident of Mont Bellevue, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, and she owned property and personal effects, etc., in excess of $50,000,
Yes.
and she owned securities in excess of $50,000.
Yes.
Okay, and she had real property in excess of $50,000 as well, correct?
That's right.
Okay, she left a will dated April 22nd of 1992, which we deposited with the court. Correct?
That's right.
Okay. Now the will called for your father to be the executor of her estate, correct?
That's right.
And your father has predeceased her.
Correct.
And he died on June 2nd, 2010.
Yes.
Okay, and you were named as the backup executor, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any reason why you could not serve as executor?
No.
Okay, you've never been convicted of a felony or a crime of moral turpitude, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And does your mom's will name any state or governmental agency as a devisee? In other words, she didn't leave anything to the state of Texas or to the city of Mont Bellevue or anybody like that?
No.
Okay. And did your mother have, after she made the will, your mother didn't have any children? Is that safe to say?
Right.
Okay. Pass this witness, Judge.
No questions. Everybody admits the will of probate, authorized letters.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Said I hereby admit the will to probate and authorized letters.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Would be
Good
excused.
to see you, John. You may be.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
I'll call you later, John.
Okay.
All right.
Number 112, State of Eugene, John Pomacall. Ms. Price, good morning.
Good morning, Judge.
You may proceed, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge.
You're going to testify?
I am, Judge.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please.
Can you hear me, Cindy?
I can.
Do you affirm that the testimony given today is true and correct, so help you God?
I do.
Okay. Now you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. My name is Cindy Price. I am personally appearing before the court and have knowledge of the information regarding Eugene John Pomacall. I'm going to call him Mr. Pomacall, Judge. That's just how I knew him.
Me too.
He died on September 22nd, 2020 here in Mont Bellevue, Texas. He was actually 92 years old, and 4 years have not elapsed since his death. This court has jurisdiction over his estate, as decedent was domiciled and had a fixed place of residence here in Chambers County on the date of his death. To the best of my knowledge, decedent died with a will, testate, and it was signed on August the 20th, 2013, and it was never revoked. A necessity exists for the administration of this estate, Your Honor, and the will was self-proven as required by law. To my knowledge, that the will was never revoked, and by Mr. Pomacall. No state or governmental agency or charitable organization is named in the will as a devisee, and no child was born on or after the date of the will that the will was signed. None were adopted. A marriage to Betty Pomacall was dissolved upon her death in January 16th of this same year, 2020. Mr. Pomacall named his son, Michael Pomacall, and his daughter, Pamela Jean Saunier, as independent co-executors to serve, and they are both qualified, not disqualified to serve. We're asking for letters of independent administration, letters of testimony. Thank That's all I have, Judge.
I thought his first name was Mr.
I know. He kept telling me to call him OJ. I didn't know until I looked at this that it was Eugene John.
Yeah,
And
I didn't either.
I did not. Such a good
All
name
right.
for family.
I hereby admit the will of probate and authorize letters. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, number 13, State of Mountain, Paul Stewart Jr., Mr. Fuller.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm
Morning.
present, and also I have a witness, Linda Stewart. She's going to be joining me.
Good morning, Linda. If you'll raise your right.
Hi.
Raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're giving today is true and correct, so help you God? Yes.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Sir.
Ms. Stewart, would you state your name for the court?
Linda Ruth Clark Stewart.
And you are the surviving spouse of the decedent Manton Paul Stewart Jr., is that correct?
Yes.
And he died on August the 13th, 2020 in Chambers County, and he was 77 years of age, is that correct?
Yes.
And obviously 4 years have not elapsed since the date of his death.
Yes.
At the time of his death, he was a resident and domiciled in Chambers County.
Yes.
The document, which is dated October the 17th, 2008, which purports to be his last will and testament, has been filed with the court. Is that correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, we'd ask the court to take judicial knowledge of that document dated October 17th, 2008 as the last will and testament of the decedent.
So done.
And there were no children born or adopted after the execution of the will. Is that correct?
Correct.
The will was never revoked. Is that correct?
Correct.
And he did not have a marriage that was dissolved after the execution of the will. Is that correct?
Yes. Correct.
And you're named to serve as independent executor, and to your knowledge, there's no reason why you'd be disqualified from serving. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the will does not name the state governmental agency of the state or charitable organization as the devisee. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Your Honor, there is a need for an administration. It is a non-taxable estate, and we'd ask the court to admit the will for probate.
Admit the will of probate and authorize letters.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good to see you, Linda.
Thank you.
You may be
All
excused.
right, number 114, the state of Billy Joe Blythe. Brandon. Good morning. sir.
It's going to be me today.
All right. Raise your right hand. I see you, Danny.
I swear.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're giving today is true and correct, so help you God?
I do.
You may proceed, sir.
All right, thank you. I'm here to probate the will of Mrs. Billy Joe Blythe. She passed away on July the 14th of 2018 in Beach City, Chambers County, Texas, at the age of 85. At the time of her death, she has a residence and a fixed domicile in Baytown or Beach City, Chambers County, Texas. 4 years have not elapsed since the date of her death. At the time, she owned real property here, in effect of probably a little excess of $100,000. She did not apply for or receive any Medicaid benefits after March 1 of 2005. She left a self-proved will dated August 9th, 2007, which was never revoked to the best of our knowledge. She named her husband, Joe Wilson Blythe, to be the executor, but he passed away April 3rd, 2016, and it named Carol Jo Brown a successor substitute executor. No children were born to or adopted by her since since the date of the will. No marriage was dissolved. No governmental entity or agency was named as a beneficiary or devisee under the will. We're asking that the will be admitted to probate as a muniment of title.
So done.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Have a good day.
You too.
All right, number 116, the state of Linda Merle White.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Are you going to testify?
Yes.
Raise your right hand, please.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony is true and correct, so help you God?
I do.
And you may proceed.
Thank you. My name is Lakeisha Holmes, and I represent the applicant, Mays Milton White Jr., who's the son of the decedent, Linda Merle White. The decedent died on and I'm familiar with the facts of the decedent's death, Your Honor. The
Yes, ma'am.
decedent, Linda Merle White, died on September the 12th, 2020 in Anahuac, Chambers County, Texas, and she was 68 years old. 4 years have not elapsed since the date of her death. A necessity exists for the administration of the estate. Decedent's will was self-proved. To the best of my knowledge, the will that was filed for probate was never revoked. No state governmental agency or charitable organization is named as a devisee in the will. No, after the date of the will, no child was born or adopted by decedent. No marriage of the decedent was ever dissolved after the will was made. The decedent's will named her husband, Mays M. White, to serve as the executor, but he's declined to serve. The will named her 3 children as alternate co-executors, but 2 of her children, and that's Chandra R. White, who's now Chandra R. Black, and Milton Todd White, have both declined to serve. Their declinations have all been filed with the application to probate the will, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
So the applicant, Mays Milton White Jr., is not disqualified from accepting letters testamentary or from serving as executor, and he's entitled to such letters. I ask that the court admit the will to probate, appoint Mays M. Milton White Jr. to serve as the independent executor, to act independently without bond and to waive appraisements, and that the court grant Milton Mays White Jr. letters testamentary.
So done. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, number 117, the state of Christine Edmonds.
Yes, Your Honor. We've got Ms. Broussard here to testify.
Raise your right hand, please.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're giving today is true and correct, so help you God?
I do.
And you may proceed, sir.
Ms. Broussard, just for the record, can you state your full name?
Alicia Hope Broussard.
And you're a resident of Jefferson County, Texas, is that right? And your aunt, which is the decedent in this case, Christine Edmonds, she passed away on August 6, 2020, is that correct?
That's correct.
And she died at St. Elizabeth Hospital here in Beaumont, Jefferson County, but actually at the time of her death, her permanent residence was located in Stoll and Chambers County, is that right?
Correct.
And the will that's been filed for probate in this case, which is dated November 19th, 2019, and you have a copy in front of you, do you recognize that to be the last will and testament of Ms. Edmonds?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, that will was never revoked prior to her death, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And the will names you to serve as independent executor without bond, is that right?
That's correct.
And are you capable and willing and qualified to serve as independent executor?
Yes.
Okay. And I've also prepared, and you have in front of you a proof of death and other facts, and an oath of independent executor, which you'll be signing, will be filed with the court after the hearing. As to the proof of death, have you reviewed that document?
Yes. I have.
And is everything there true and correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And also, you and I have discussed this before. You understand that following your appointment, you have to provide notice to creditors, file an inventory of estate assets, and also provide notice to all the estate beneficiaries. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, that's all we have.
All right, everybody, get the will to probate and authorize letters.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Take care. All right, number 118, the state of Salvatore and Angelo. Ms. Price,
Yes, Judge.
you may proceed, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge. My name is Cindy Price. I am representative of the wife in this case as Sandra Cornet. She is the wife of the decedent Salvatore Angelo. He died on November 3rd, 2019 here in Chambers County at the age of 69, and 4 years have not elapsed since his death. Mr. Angelo resided and have a fixed place of residence here in Chambers County, and he left a valid will that was self-proven. It should be in your possession, Judge.
Yes, ma'am.
The will, to my knowledge, was never revoked, and there was no children born or adopted after the signing of that will, which was dated June 27th, 2005. He did not leave any part of his estate to a charity or governmental entity, nor is this a taxable estate. He named his wife, Sandra Cornet, to be his independent executor, serve without bond, and she's qualified, not disqualified to serve. She is asking the court today to admit his will to probate and issue letters of testamentary to her.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Judge, appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Mr. Fuller, and last but not least,
Thank you, Judge.
21, Mary Ellen Rios, and you may proceed, Counselor. I thought we already swore you in.
No, you just saw my other app.
Raise your right hand, please.
All right.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're giving is true and correct, so help you God?
I do. Your Honor, Thank you, Judge. Your Honor, my name is Roy Fuller, well acquainted with the decedent and decedent's family, Mary Ellen Rios, who died on September the 24th, 2020, here in Chambers County, Texas. She was 69 years of age. 4 years have not elapsed since the date of her death. At the time of her death, she was a resident domiciled in Chambers County. The document, which is dated November the 2nd, 2016, which has been filed with the court, is, to my knowledge, the last will and testament of the decedent, and it was never revoked. I'd ask the court to take judicial knowledge of that will.
Okay.
There were no children born or adopted after the execution of the will. She did not have a marriage that was dissolved after the execution of the will. The will named the sons Pedro A. Rios and Eric A. Rios to serve as independent co-executors, and to my knowledge, there's no reason why they would be disqualified from serving as independent executors. The will does not name the state, a governmental agency of the state, or a charitable organization as a devisee. There is a need for an administration. It is a non-taxable estate. Would ask the court to admit the will of probate.
So done.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day. Take care.
See ya.
All right. Court's adjourned.